Hey guys. So another streaming Sunday. It's now 8 o'clock on Eastern Time here in Toronto, Ontario. So let's get started here. Essentially, I wanted to say thank you to anybody who's joining us on the stream right now. I do see a few people on there, which is great. Obviously, there's a bunch of people that will end up hopefully watching this afterwards as well. But I do want to remind you that if you have any questions or topics that you want to have discussed here on the stream, you can make comment to it on the Justin.tv chat room, either live while I'm sitting here, or you can make a comment to one of our plethora of various social media platforms. We've got Twitter, Facebook, etc. And I'll be going through a couple of the group updates on that just shortly here. But with that being said, let's get right into it. First off, I want to give a big thank you to our two sponsors, Oanda and Web Not War. Now, without them, this whole thing wouldn't be possible, so a big shout out to them. Thank you. You can visit them by oanda.ca, oanda.ca, as well as on Twitter, oanda, just the @ for them there. And then Web Not War as well, who I'll be briefly speaking with later on the show about an event that we're putting on together with them, DevTO, JavaScript Toronto as well. So, quick recap. We have just last week ran an event. The JavaScript Toronto lead, Taz, and I can never pronounce Taz's last name properly. I want to say Singh, but it's not. And if he watches this, he's going to shoot me. So I'm just going to say Tazvir. Him and Joshua Kelly had come into the group, or come in to discuss the AR drone quadcopter. Now, the reason why they came in to discuss this wasn't because it's a fun toy and one to play with, because you can control it with your phone, or you can control it with an Android device, but you can also now control it with a browser. So it was very interesting is they've been able to develop a Chrome plugin using socket connection directly to the quadcopter, and have it so that the browser, you have like the WASD and the arrow keys connecting, and that's how you're controlling it. They've completely opened it up. So if you go to the link, which you'll find at the htmltoronto.ca site, you'll be able to go into the first one, at least the first one right now, event, which is called JavaScript Controlled Quadcopter. It's quadcopter, need I say more? So what this has is just a little bit of the about, obviously links and contact information for Taz and for Josh, as well as the GitHub repo that they used for it. If you do want to follow along as well, there is the link to the video within the page as well. This contains the presentation, the walkthrough, and a little bit at the end of the quadcopter flying. So if you do want to take a look at that, by all means, please go take a look, dive into some of the code. It's really, really cool. And you're going to see a really interesting interface that they put together for controlling it. One that I probably would have done the same thing on if I was as creative as that. But the other reason I wanted to bring this up at this, or in this this talk, was essentially because what I wanted to do was reach out to anybody who was at the event. So if you had gone, if you were one of the 30 to 35 people that had joined us at the event, and you had taken video, photos, or any other type of medium that I'd be able to download and use, what I'd like to do is see if I can comprise all of the user content for the event. So I've got some video of the my quadcopter, because I also have one. I have the video of that flying around shooting the other one, and by shooting I mean video, not anyway. I have it actually taking video of the other quadcopter as it's flying around. I do have some video of the quadcopters flying both simultaneously in the large foyer at Mars. Sorry, I should mention this is at Mars Commons, a giant foyer area in which we did this. But what I wanted to do was reach out, get all that content, because I want to put a collage type thing together where we have all the user content in one little location, and say, attached to this event, and say, here is all of the content from you, right? The group members. Highlight that, showcase that, give you links for it, and give you recognition for it. So I am doing that call out. Send me what you have. You can either send it to me via the Twitter account, which is this one here, or through any of the other social platforms, so Facebook, Twitter, etc. Or if you want to have it uploaded to a server, for instance, YouTube or Vimeo or any other platform you like, send me the link via email at matthew@htmltoronto.ca. So remember, that's the .ca. I had a couple emails apparently not come through because I am using the .ca of the group's URL. So that is just a small little recap of last event. Code's on there. I'd love to see what you guys can build and what you guys can do. So that first call out, first to do action. See what you can build, submit it. Let's find out what the community has to offer. Perhaps even a new interface for what they built. That'd be very, very interesting to see. So on to next form of business. Over the last, I'd say week, about a week now, there's been a couple of updates to the group. First and foremost, I know a lot of you have asked in the past about Facebook and is there a group for Facebook? Can I like this on Facebook? Are you planning on having something to have discussions and posts about through Facebook? Now, on a personal note, I don't generally like using Facebook as a platform for communicating with businesses and organizations unless I really, really like them and I really support them. There are a few out there. There are competitions and whatnot that I try to get into. The GoPro ones, for instance. Speaking of which, GoPro, if you ever hear this, can I get one of those 3s? Because mine is... my GoPro has a tiny little chip out of the glass when I was doing work for Heart and Stroke Foundation. So please, if you can, I'd love to win the newest, the GoPro 3 that's out. I bought this one, and about 2 weeks later, the new one came out, and I'm like, I'll return it, and I'll get the new one. And then this one dropped as I was doing the event. And so, unfortunately, I wasn't even able to use this at the event that I was trying to record for the Heart and Stroke Foundation. So, GoPro, please save me. I've got all the equipment, including a helmet with like the attachment and a Steadicam and all that. So yes, I know. And this is my form of putting stickers on stuff. HTML5, FITC, all the Adobe products. So yeah, helmet sitting there doing nothing. Anyway, I digress. So Facebook, what I've done is I've put together the Facebook page, right? So thanks to the first 30 people that had liked it. In fact, thanks to the first 51, technically, because there's 51 likes there. But it took 30 likes in order for us to get the custom URL. But we now have it. You'll notice at the top, in fact, it probably won't show due to the quality of the stream, or if it does, you're probably zoomed in, facebook.com/HTML5, or sorry, HTML Toronto. So again, that's facebook.com/HTML Toronto. I will be doing as much posting there as I possibly can. I do not plan on using this to do that whole collecting of information or capturing emails and whatnot. This is purely a post, or all the stuff that's being posted on here is for those people that A, don't have Twitter, because there are some in the group that don't, and B, want to have a conversation with their friends and colleagues and want to promote the group that way. So if you do want to go in, by all means, go. You have now a page. I'm going to likely not be banning anybody or removing any comments. If you have articles or links that you want to share, that's absolutely a great platform for you to do, as we are trying to promote the group to a larger audience than just the Toronto and Ontario community. So if you do have communities outside, awesome. Thank you, Mike. If you do have communities outside, by all means, invite them in. This group is really for everybody. All developers across all platforms. It just happens to be that we're focusing on web for all the discussions. So if you are on Google+, we do have Google+ as well, the HTML Toronto Web Devs, and Twitter. So all of those links can be found either on the website, the htmltoronto.ca, or through all the various ones, the links in the About page and whatnot. Now, as you probably are aware, if you're watching this stream, we do have a YouTube account as well. which we're trying to promote, which we're trying to add comments and create an engaging atmosphere. And I do need your help with this. So if you are watching this, I'm going to say go through and like this video. And I know I don't generally like to, hey, like, subscribe, and comment. But when you do that, and this is probably what a lot of people don't tell you, when you do start to comment or like something, I'm not getting paid for it. I'm not putting advertisements on the stream, so I'm not trying to advertise and create any type of profit off of it. But what we are trying to do is create high quality stuff. So maybe not this stream because we're doing a lot of self-promotion and a lot of stuff that's promoting the group, but there are a couple things, including all of the event stuff that you see on there. For instance, the last event we did with the JavaScript quadcopter, and then one before that with the face tracking, having a like and a comment on those ones, even if it's a, hey, really good to see, or awesome, need to dive into the code, something shows YouTube and that there's quality content into that, and that it will post it to other people's streams, or it'll post it out there so that other people go take a look at it. So that's why a lot of people are saying post, comment, like, subscribe, subscription, whatever. I'm not going to ask you to do all that, but if you do make a comment to it, those comments do help advertise and promote. And like I said, I'm not putting advertising on the beginning of it. I'm not trying to pre-roll those. I know there is a pre-roll to the Justin, but that's mainly because this is a free service. But having that stuff does help with the YouTube. Cool. So that's all the self-promotional stuff that I wanted to bring up, and that I wanted to talk about. But I wanted to reiterate on to what I had said on Thursday, where there was a competition. So there was a competition that we did for having it so that you had the possibility to win an FITC ticket. Now, I don't know how many of you have done this already or had liked the page or subscribed. And I do see there was a couple more subscribers. Actually, I'm going to see if I can go back and say Facebook Toronto, 52. So I'm going to, and pardon the thing here, quickly go through, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add those people into the competition for an FITC ticket. So, in fact, you know what? Let me hold off. I'm going to hold off for now. If you are watching the stream and you haven't liked the Facebook page yet, or the other thing that we did do was have a MailChimp newsletter. So there is a newsletter on there as well. But newsletter we're not going to do for this one. The Facebook, if you like the page, by, say, the end of this stream, we'll add you to the list of potential winners for the HTML5 ticket for FITC Toronto 2013. So I'm going to leave that for now. And we'll get back to this, as well as work with some of the code to do a randomized thing, because I've created a little snippet of code that hopefully that you guys enjoy, or hopefully that you guys can take a look at. But a couple little other things that I wanted to talk about while you guys can have the chance to do that. HTML5 Toronto, JavaScript Toronto, and DevTO are running a HTML gaming code along coming up. It is sponsored by Microsoft, and they have 2 speakers, but both the JavaScript Toronto, Taz, and I have really put our foot down and said, let's bring in speakers from external. Let's not focus this on Microsoft technology. Let's focus this on web technologies, game technologies, development technologies. So if you can go in there, if you want, register for that, $5 for that. That is coming up on April 6th. A lot of promotional stuff in this one here. FITC Toronto, SpaceX Toronto. Okay. So I think I'll skip those 2 for this time, mainly because I've been talking about a lot of other platforms and whatnot. So what I wanted to do is discuss with you guys my thoughts on the main element for W3C. So the W3C has recently done basically a working draft for a new semantic tag that is similar to the header, the footer, and the aside, right? A section, article, which defines the main or primary content on a page. So I've gone back and forth on a few blogs and a few different pages, including, I think it was the HTML5 Rocks, and discussing a bit on, what was it, the Web Platforms QA. If you guys ever have a chance, by the way, I do highly, strongly, massively recommend the webplatform.org site. Unfortunately, there's a couple glitches. I think it's still kind of a beta thing, But going in here is really, really fun because it's supported by Google. It's supported by Adobe, the W3C. They're always going in here to answer questions, respond. So if you ever get a chance, webplatform.org. But going back to this, I've had a bunch of conversations, made a few blog posts. But before I say what I think, and I'll go back into what I think next week, perhaps, after I let you guys have a comment on this one here, what I want to know, and by all means, use the comments again down in the YouTube for this, and perhaps even on the site. What are your thoughts on the main element? So what it is, it's a new semantic tag for saying you want to define a certain area as the main area. Now, generally when you have a platform or when you have a website or web app, you have a header, a footer, and a primary either div, section, or article. Now, at FITC Toronto last year, I had said, how would the audience rather see it? Would you rather see header, footer, section, and the section has articles in it? Or would you see article with sections in it for standalone content? So this new semantic tag, this main tag, really comes down to that new section in the middle would actually be called main, which would be the main content of the site. If you have a page, for instance, let's take Facebook, for instance. If you have Facebook, that whole news line, that news article, right, it would likely be the main content, right? You'd have an aside, or you'd have an aside of the body that would be associated to the content itself, but not required, right? Each one of the elements, or each one of the posts inside of this main area would be an article. That article would have a header and potentially a footer and potentially an aside, right? The aside could be anything from an advertisement to the links for content, for comments. But what main is it's defining out what people would generally do as ID equals primary or ID equals main. You could have multiple different sections and articles to a page, but you would only ever have one main semantic tag, right? So unlike what you would see with header levels, where you'd see, okay, this is a header level 1, these are 12 different header levels 2, you'd only ever have one main semantic tag or one main article. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this would be a valuable thing? Do you think that there's already something in there in HTML like this, such as the ARIA tags? Or do you think this is a good idea, that we should have this type of thing for semantics and to clearly define out what our content should be? So that's my call out to you guys this week. Tell me what you think about the main semantic tag. And if you want, go to, I believe it's w3c.org/tr. So actually, let me just paste. I will also toss the link to this in the description so that you have full resources to this. So w3.org/tr/html-main-element. Go through, read it. It's not implemented yet, but because of the way that HTML works, you can start using it if you'd like by simply in JavaScript for IE adding the create element, as well as remembering to style it in CSS with display block. So try it out, check it out, see what you think, see the discussion boards that have happened for it, and make up your own mind. Let's discuss this together. So that's the call out for this. So let's see how many people had actually gone back into and made comments or liked. Been a couple of people, Colette apparently, for it. So there is a total of 52 likes for Facebook now. I'm going to add the one person that had done this before. And see all. So yay, doing this online. And so got that one copied. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over into TextMate because I have a bit of code here for us to take a look at. Something that I didn't do last time, but I just wanted to show you guys what I'm doing for a lot of the competitions to make sure that you know it's all randomized and whatnot. So I'm going to zoom into some of this code. Yay, coding while we're doing competition. I wanted to define out what we're doing here. So I'm going to open up a brand new browser tab and then open up the console for it. So you're going to see here, it's just a regular console. I've got I'm going to paste in the first bit of code, which is essentially just adding a shuffle function to the array type. Now, going through this, I'm just going through randomizing, shuffling around any type of array that I put to this, or the array selection. You can take a look at this if you want. It's fairly straightforward. I'm going to push enter, so it now adds it into the DOM. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new function called randomize names. Now, this randomize names function is going to basically say take two elements. First element is going to be the array element. Second element is going to be the count, or how many times I want to randomize it, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass through and say current count is equal to 0, so current count equal to 0. And while the current count is less than what I'm providing through here as a count, so run it however many times up to whenever it hits that number, I'm going to do a console log randomize, because the way that Chrome works is that randomized is going to add to it and then give me a number beside it and how many times it's run, just so that I know. And then array item, I'm going to actually change the array item array to the return value of that shuffle, that function that I just created above. And then I'm going to return the very first value of that array. So array element 0, the very first one. This way, I'm not pulling an array item from within it. I'm just pulling the very first one. As randomized as I can possibly get within programmatically speaking. And I know there's probably going to be some people that are like, oh, that's not true randomization because it's blah, blah, blah. Yes, but there's only so much I can do. So that's that. Then what I have is a giant long list of names here, right? Including, now that, let me just pop over to here. Oh, not that one. This one. To this. Michael, I think I have Hans. Do I have Ho? Yes, Ho-Ren. Ho-Ren I do have. So I am going to add one more here. Paste. And he is going to be Facebook. Paste. Cool. So that is the new people for this. Oh, and I guess there is also Kevin Kelly in here as well. So Kevin Kelly, let's add you into this. And yes, by the way, if you did subscribe to the newsletter and do a Facebook, you do get two. So Kevin Kelly. So there's a slew of different names here, right? I'm going to copy these lists of names as the variable, and this is going to be basically an array of objects in here. Okay, so back into this. Paste it in, right? So now that is a newsletter and Facebook array item. So I'm going to clear this and say, give me the Facebook newsletter and Facebook length, 64 people, right? So here's everybody that has newsletter subscription or Facebook like. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say randomize names, newsletter. Ooh. Let's just copy and paste this. Newsletter and 1. But before we do that, I want to show you how this is going to end up working. So if I say randomize names, right, and I say just an array item 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And I'm going to say randomize 5 times. It's randomized it 5 times and returned me the number 4. If I run that again, it's going to return me another number, a randomized number, right? So am I kind of teasing here? If I say randomize 100 times, randomized it 100 times, return me 2. So let's go through and say, now, first one's going to be a test, right? We're not going to do the first one. I want to show you how it's going to work. It's going to return, actually, you know what? Let's do it. First one to do this is going to be live. So how many should we do it? In the chat window here, how many times should we randomize this? I'll give you maybe 10 seconds to respond to this, or if you want to tweet me as well, you can do that. Yes, we are doing the randomization of it. Minwilski. Yes, we are, in fact, doing this, the randomization of that. So either I see 2 people in the chat window right now. Cool. How many times should we randomize the list? Nowelski. Give me a number from 1 to 150,000. 314. Okay, I was going to say that better not be a 3.14. So 314 times. So 314 times we will randomize the newsletters and the Facebook names. And whoever is the winner, we've all seen the code, so there's no title. You ready for this? On the count of 3, 2, now. There we go. So Mark Oosterveld. Now I'm going to say, Mark, this is you're officially the winner for this. However, I'm going to do a second pass here because of the fact that this might not be somebody that is available to go to FITC. Whether or not it's that they're not here in Toronto or they're not able to make it. So I'm going to do a second pass. And what we're going to do is that second person, you're going to be the backup person, right? So if Mark can't go to it or he cannot make it out to FITC, that you will be the person that will end up going if, again, you can make it. So second time, we will run it for how long? Matt, how long should we run it for? $412 times. I'm surprised you didn't say 413 times to flip the number around, but let's do 412 times. 412. Oh, you're kidding me. That is so random. Are you So Matt is actually the one in the chat room that said to do that. That is I don't know how more random that can be. He has absolutely hacked the system. He has somehow mathematically equated how to do that. Outstanding. Unfortunately, if Mark is able to go, Matt will be left out in the cold and won't be able to do it. So for anybody who wants to know, I will be posting the code for the randomization, excluding the people's names, in HTML Toronto's GitHub's gist page or gist section. So you can go through, do tests yourself, and find out what it is that ended up happening there. And maybe if you do find a glitch there and how Matt did it with the calculate if the name is equal to this, then do so. Very interesting, Matt. I congratulate you if you ended up doing that in some random hack, but that was outstanding. Cool. So without further ado, I think that is about half the time over again on what I wanted to do for code for this, time for this. But we ended up doing a lot, covering a bunch of stuff, and you definitely do have a call out to do. So let me know what you think about the main, and make a comment or thumb up a bunch of those videos that we've got for the group. Thanks again to everybody on the stream, and hope to see you next week. Submit your topics as well. We definitely like seeing topics discussed.